Hello and welcome to another episode of The Flying Reporter. It's been a lovely weekend here in Kent, and the problem is we're still in lockdown, or at least at the time of recording. We've got an announcement from the Prime Minister later on this weekend, and so we're, I suppose, hoping for some good news. In the meantime, we're allowed out to go to work or to have exercise once a day, and so Bertie and I went off on a little bike ride. I took him down a country lane that I like to cycle down, and we had a lot of fun. So in this episode we'll be back on the simulator, and we're going to practice a few things. We're going to do some engine failure tests. We're going to be trying some stalls and some spins, and also then we're going to see what it's like to take off and land a Boeing 737 at a small grass strip. First though, I have to say a big thank you to Casper Pierce, also known as the Hanger Rat at Red Hill. He's designed me some custom livery for my virtual Piper Arrow 3. He's turned it into Golf Oscar Romeo, which is great because it reminds me of my old friend the Warrior. Thank you, Casper, that's great. So I'm here at Cardiff, and I've chosen Cardiff because I've got some scenery here for Cardiff that I bought. Let's start with some engine failures after takeoff. And I suppose the first thing that we do if we're about to take off is to think about what we're going to do if the engine should fail. It's called a pre-takeoff brief. And what you do as you're at the holding point ready to get onto the runway, you say to yourself, in the event of a problem on the runway, we will stop the aircraft, bring it to a standstill and inform ATC. If we have lifted off and there's enough runway remaining and we have a problem, we will land back and inform ATC. If we've taken off and there is no more runway remaining, we're going to be selecting the glide and finding somewhere to put the aircraft down ahead of us. So what that's doing is putting into our mind the possibility that the engine could fail at any time. So we're going to take off here. We're going to assume that we've done all of our takeoff briefs. I know that the aircraft is ready to go. We've got a bit of full power here, still getting used to these controls. And what we're going to do is we're going to fail the engine at 1,000 feet. So our lift-off speed here is 70 knots, and up we go. Climbing at 80 initially. And if we've got a retractable gear, what we're going to do is wait until we've passed the end of the runway. Because, as I said in my pre-takeoff brief, we want the option to land back if we have a problem. Okay, we can bring the gear up now. Temperatures and pressures are in the green. We're going to power back to 25. Manifold pressure 25 RPM, which is what we would normally do. Watch our speed there. We should be able to get 90 now with the gear up. The gear is up. And we're going to wait until we get to 1,200 feet, and that's basically 1,000 feet above ground. Now, when we're this low level, there isn't much time to do any troubleshooting. We're going to have such a short period of time before we are approaching the ground, we won't really be able to do very much. Okay. Engine is going to fail now. First thing we do is we select the glide. We want to remain safe, and 80 knots is what we want. And look, we've got a runway ahead of us. It's almost as if I planned it. That is St Athan, which is just next to Cardiff. And we've got some fields in front of it, but I think we might be able to make St Athan if we're careful. We've got nil wind today, which is helping us. Mayday, 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 Golf Bravo Hotel Oscar Romeo, PA28, engine failure. I'm going to be landing at St Athan. And that's all you're going to have time to do, because you're going to be making sure that everyone is strapped in. You're going to turn the power off, you're going to turn the fuel off, turn the mixture off. I'm going to put the gear down now. I'm not sure I'm going to make it, we'll have to see. It feels to me as if we're probably going to land short here. So I'm going to line up with this field here and come down into this field, flaps in. Yeah, we're going to land short. But let's see if we can do so safely to some extent. Okay, brakes. Okay, so I think we would have survived that. We landed short, so we're about to hit a car. Well, we are crossing a road. So from the point of our engine failing to us being on the ground, that was about a minute. No time at all. And really, the key thing is safety. Make sure you can get on the ground safely. Keep the speed at the glide speed. Don't try and stretch the glide, and try and secure your passengers in the airplane ready for the emergency landing.
Obviously, if I had time, I'd be trying to get the engine going again by selecting alternate air, changing the fuel tank, putting the fuel pump on and so on. I wouldn't turn the master switch off until I'd extended the landing gear.
Now, one of the things that might seem quite tempting is, you know, you've got a runway behind you. Let's say we didn't have St Athan there that we could try for. And you might think you could turn back and land. It's called the impossible turn. And the reason they call it the impossible turn is because it's supposedly impossible. Now, in training, you're told to never turn back in such a situation, certainly not at an altitude below 1,000 feet above ground. Really, you're supposed to land straight ahead. Besides the fact that you might not make it back, you're risking a sharp turn which could put you into a stall spin, and also there's the likelihood that you'll have a tailwind on landing if you're coming back the same way. But we're going to try it. We're going to see if we can actually land back at Cardiff. Remember, we've got nil wind today, so that might help or hinder us. Let's see how we do. Now remember, don't try this for real, folks. Obviously, if you're above 1,000 feet and you think you can make it back, then that's your choice. But in theory, we should be landing straight ahead. Okay, so we're climbing at 80 knots again. Temperatures and pressures are in the green. Runway's gone, so we'll pull the gear up now and accelerate to 90 knots. Now, if you had a wind from the left and you were trying to do this, you'd probably turn left so that you didn't drift off miles to the right in the turn. So, coming up to 1,000 feet, we've got the gear up, we've got the flaps up, and we're going to just come back to 25 there. And as we say, we're going to fail the engine at 1,200 feet. Okay, which is there. Engine failure, select the glide, that's the most important thing, and we're going to try a turn back. Now, I'm not going to mess about here, I'm going to keep this quite sharp, so I don't want to spend too much time heading the wrong way. I'm keeping that glide speed at 80 knots. Certainly don't want to be turning like this any lower than that, because as you know, the stall speed increases when you turn. I think we're going to make Cardiff here. I'm going to get the gear down now. Getting the gear down is going to cause more drag, but we need to give ourselves time to get the gear down. We've got 3 greens. Got a bit of extra speed, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a flapless landing, this. Very difficult to judge the flare in this simulator, but we'll hopefully be alright. There we go. And we've landed safely. So the impossible turn is not so impossible, but it certainly wouldn't be advised below 1,000 feet. Remember, I'm not an instructor, and any instructor will tell you not to try it, because you've just got a minute to go. You're making a sharp turn to the right, risking a stall spin scenario.
You'll notice I didn't declare a mayday that time. I was so focused on the turn and telling you what I was doing. I'd have to be conscious of aircraft on the runway, landing or taking off behind me. I should really be getting a radio mayday call in before turning back like this.
Right, what I'm going to show you now is a standard stall recovery. A stall is something that we do when training. We have to do it for our test. We sometimes do it when we're checking out new aircraft. So we're here at 7,000 feet above Cardiff at the moment. and you will be doing stall practice at heights above 3,000 feet above ground. We have to do a Hazel check first. We're high enough to recover by 3,000 feet. Airframe, check the brakes, we check that the flaps are up, the gear is up. Security, we're strapped in, all loose objects are strapped down. Engine, we check that our temperatures and pressures are good, we check that the mixture is set where we want it, and we do carb heat if necessary. Location, so we check that we haven't got any controlled airspace below us, we check that there isn't a sort of built up area below us, and then we do a lookout, and we would do a 360, 180 turn either way to make sure that there's no aircraft below us. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to stall the aircraft now. We're going to do that by pulling back on the power and just trying to maintain altitude by pulling back on the elevator. As you can see, we're maintaining altitude, but our speed is now dropping. We're getting that alarm because the speed has dropped and it says that the gear is not down. I'm keeping the ball centered. If there's a wing drop, I don't use the ailerons now. Approaching the stall, there's the stall, and the aircraft is kind of trying to recover itself. It's got the nose down. I've got the elevators full back, but we're descending at 1,000 feet per minute. And what we do to recover, we can either do a sort of just pitch the nose down to recover into the glide, which isn't the fastest way to recover. The fastest way to recover is to apply power as well. So we'll just stall again. Keep that ball centered. We're stalling. Full power, nose forward, carb heat off. Get to a safe speed, and then we recover. So that's a stall. Now a spin is where one wing stalls before the other, and that can happen if in a stall you try and put it out of coordination. We'll try and do that now by applying full left rudder and full right aileron. It's just not doing it. This model is not very good for trying to spin. It doesn't want to spin. In real life that might spin us. Basically I'm having to, let's say we're in a spin now, what would we do? Power back, neutral on the controls, full opposite rudder. We need to gently bring our speed back. We're going into the dangerous range there. That might have incurred a bit too much G there.
I've never actually done any spin training for real and intend to do so at the next opportunity. You have to do it in a particular type of aircraft, so don't go trying this for real without training, and certainly not in aircraft that prohibit spins.
Okay, next, a bit of fun. What is a simulator doing if it's not giving you some fun? And how about we try and take off and land a Boeing 737 from a grass strip. We're going to take off from Sandown and then land back at Red Hill. I've no idea if it's even doable. Both strips are quite short. We're talking sort of 700-800 meters if my memory serves me correctly. And I don't know what the performance figures are for a Boeing 737, let alone know how to do a short field takeoff in one. So let's see how we get on. Right, full power, and here we go. $60. Look at those trees at the end. I need about 130 knots or so, don't I, to get off? Oh, we're up, gear up. Come on, we need a bit of height here. Goodness me, we have just managed to take off from Sandown. That's silly.
Perhaps it was Daniel's new AstroTurf that gave us a bit of help there. Forgive me if all this pranking around I'm doing feels a bit insensitive. I know the airline industry is in a dire situation at the moment, and I hope you don't feel it's a bit crass playing around like this when people's jobs are on the line. I know these are terrible times. I want you to know that you are in my thoughts. And I know there is a lot of suffering going on right now. The American livery, by the way, was the default setting. I didn't choose it, just in case you're wondering.
Okay, we managed to take off quite well from Sandown. I don't know how much of the aeroplane was intact. We're going to try and land though at Red Hill, on the grass at Red Hill. So we are kind of left base for Red Hill at the moment, but a very wide left base. Well, we need to get ourselves configured really, don't we? Because we're way too high and we're way too fast. So I've just throttled back to idle. We'll try and get our speed into a range that we can lower the gear. We need to be below 250, and then I think we can put some flaps down. Stage 5, so let's get flaps down now. To stage 5, that'll help slow us down. Could use the speed brakes, of course, couldn't we? Oh, will it let me do that? No. Having trouble. No, I can't operate the speed brake, never mind. Oh, are we in a dive now? Probably are. Right. Let's get the gear down. We need to lose speed and height. Okay, speed's coming under control now, so we can start a descent. We are 14 miles. Okay. Let's turn inbound now then. Probably should have started that turn a bit sooner. Let's get another stage of flap in. We'll now watch our speed. So we normally follow the railway line in to Red Hill. That looks like the A21 we've just gone over, I think. Right, we're now on a very long final. We're on a 14-mile final for Red Hill. Let's get another stage of flap down. It's going to be very difficult to see Red Hill. Watch our speed here. We're probably at our approach speed, I'd say now. Reds, blues and greens. Red Hill Tower, Golf Oscar Romeo Heavy. Long final. Runway 26 left. Might want to roll some emergency vehicles, because this is not going to be pretty. We'll go full flap now. Let's have auto brakes to max, I think. Where is Red Hill? I can't see it clearly. We are in theory lined up final for 266 left according to Sky Demon, but I can't see it. Normally we'd report here at the Godstone railway station. So we're a bit low. That might be it. I think Red Hill's put the lights on for us. Right, well that's brilliant. We can now see the runway. This is going to work out. Wow. Right, we've got one white light now, so we're coming on to the slope. Right, let's try and get on the slope then. Oh, I've never landed on with the lights on at Red Hill before. It's because it's, well, presumably because the viz is so bad they put the lights on to help us. Well, I suppose they would. If they had a 737 coming in, they'd make it as easy as they could, couldn't they? Right, a bit high now. Well, I don't know what that noise was. Watch our speed. Right, we're not exactly stable here, but we've got a good descent rate going. Our speed's okay. Coming down a bit fast now. There's the M23 ahead of us. Well, are we going to survive this, folks? That's the question.
300. 200.
Watch our speed. Right. It's
100.
basically what I've done now is I've gone to flight idle.
40, 30, 20, 10.
Come on. Oh dear, we should have touched down by now. We're down. Full resistors, full brakes. we've gone off the end of the runway, but there's a bit of an overrun. There's a lot of dust being thrown up now. 50 knots, reverser's off. Wow. Do you know what? I think we would have survived that. We might have actually survived that. Well, we're in one piece. But I think that would have caused a bit of a stir at Red Hill. What do you think?
I think I've deserved a nice bit of tea and cake in the pilot's hub after that landing. I doubt the aerodrome management will be happy though about the condition I've left the grass runway in. I'm truly hoping that the next time we meet on here I'll be flying a real aeroplane again. At the time of recording, the signs are looking promising. Stay safe, folks.